check your doors. Stay inside. I went to a somewhat typical high school, not in a traditional American suburb, but a more rural set high school. Some kids go to schools with graduating classes of 500 to even 1,000 kids. My high school had, I think, a little less than 200 kids in my graduating class. It was the kind of high school where even if you weren't friends with someone, you still knew them by face and name. Walking down the hallways, you'd know basically 99% of your peers. One weekend night, I was at my friend Brian's house. He lived with his grandparents in a single-floor ranch-style house a bit outside of town, tucked at the end of a dead-end street. There were 5 of us hanging out in his living room, watching a horror movie, drinking a bit, laughing. Brian had stepped out to get more drinks, and the rest of us stayed behind. After the movie, we switched to a second one. Not long into it, we heard a tapping sound at the window. It was light but deliberate. We all turned our heads. Brian's friend Derek walked over, pulled the curtain aside quickly. No one was there. "Probably some animal," he muttered. We laughed it off, but then it happened again, this time at a different window. Derek looked again. Still nothing. By now, we were a little uneasy. I texted Brian, "You back yet?" No response. A few minutes later, a much louder bang came from the front door. We all jumped. Derek walked up and called out, "Brian?" He opened the door slowly. No one. We stepped outside to look around. Then we saw it. There were muddy footprints leading up to the side of the house, circling around the porch with fresh ones, but no sign of anyone nearby. We went back inside, locking all the doors. 10 minutes passed. We tried to keep watching the movie, but were all tense. That's when the power cut out. The room went pitch black. We all froze. Derek got up, used his phone flashlight to head toward the kitchen where the breaker was. As he disappeared into the hallway, we heard something fall down with a loud crashing noise. We asked, "Derek?" No answer. We called out again, but still nothing. Then I grabbed a fire poker from beside the fireplace and led the rest of the group slowly down the hall. We found Derek lying in the kitchen, conscious but dazed. A cabinet was had been knocked over onto him. He said he didn't see anything, it just felt a shove. We helped him up and got out of there immediately, while all piling into one car. As we drove off, we passed a man walking in the opposite direction down the dark road, hands in pockets. Strangely, he didn't look at us. I don't know if he was the one messing with us, or if we were just being paranoid, but none of us ever hung out at Brian's place again after that. I was 14 when this happened. I was home alone for the weekend, and my parents had gone out of town for a wedding. It was a Friday night, and I had just finished watching a movie in the living room. The house was quiet, and I was texting a friend, half paying attention to the sound of the rain outside. At some point, I heard the floor creak upstairs. Our house is old, and the floorboards settle, so I tried to brush it off. But then it happened again, closer to the stairs. I turned off the TV and listened. It sounded like someone walking slowly across the upstairs hallway. I froze. I texted my friend, "I think someone's in my house." He said to call 911, but I was too scared to move. Still, I tiptoed to the kitchen and grabbed a knife, then crawled to the base of the stairs. But I didn't hear anything now. Everything was so quiet. So I went back to the living room and turned all the lights off, hoping maybe whoever it was would think no one was home. Then I heard a click. The upstairs hallway light had been turned on. I almost dropped the knife from my hand. I ran out the back door into the rain and didn't stop running until I got to my neighbor's house 2 doors down. I started to bang their doors and screamed for help. They let me in, and I called the police. The officers came and searched the house, but they found nothing. No signs of forced entry or anything. But when I went back the next day with my dad, we found some muddy footprints in the upstairs hallway. They led from my parents' bedroom to the top of the stairs and stopped there. Later on, we installed a security system the same week to catch who was it, but unexpectedly, it never happened again. He's already inside. I'd fallen asleep on the couch as I was exhausted from a long shift at the hospital. It was past 2 a.m., and the living room TV cast a faint glow across the walls. My front door was locked, and even the deadbolt was engaged. At least, that's what I told myself as I drifted off. I woke with a start to the sound of my bedroom closet door scraping open. It was a soft, slow creak, but in the silence it sounded like thunder. My heart leapt into my throat. I swung my legs off the couch and froze, listening. No wind, no traffic, just the quiet hum of the fridge. I crept into the hallway. Each step measured to avoid creaking floorboards. The hallway light was off, but moonlight through the curtains to let me see the bedroom door was slightly open. In the dim glow, I could just make out the closet swinging wider. I reached for the baseball bat by the front door, though its paint chipped and worn. My pulse thundered as I stared at the half-open closet. "Who's there?" I whispered shakingly, but no response. I took another step forward, raising the bat. Then I heard it. Fabric sliding along hangers, a soft scrape, and I swallowed hard. "Get out. Now," I shouted louder this time. Still no response. My mind raced to call 911 immediately, but as I fumbled for my phone, some movement caught my eye. 2 feet stepping out of the closet. He was wearing jogging pants and a hoodie, unmasked. He froze when he saw me. For a heartbeat, we stared at each other. My heart pounded so loud I thought he'd hear it. Then he lunged at me and suddenly, my adrenaline took over. I swung the bat with everything I had. It smashed into his shoulder, and he stumbled backward. As he tried escaping from me, he crashed into my dresser, and all the glass and photos were shattered. I kept swinging, yelling, "Get out of my house." He scrambled to his feet and bolted. I chased him down the hallway with the bat in hand, my heart racing so fast that I thought I'd black out. He threw open the front door and disappeared into the night. I stood in the foyer, trembling, with the bat at my side while staring at the open door. My phone clattered to the floor, and I finally dialed 911 in a strangled voice to help. The operator kept me calm, telling me officers were on the way, but every minute felt like an hour. When the police arrived, they found footprints leading away from the porch into the neighbor's yard, then fading. No weapon, no bag, no nothing. It's like he'd come just to scare me, to prove that he could whenever he wants. I spent the rest of the night wrapped in a blanket, on a car, while shaking. The officer noted the broken hanger rods and scattered clothes. He told me bluntly he could come back. And so, I haven't slept the same since. After that, I have already installed a motion sensor floodlight by the front door and replaced the lock with a heavy-duty deadbolt. I bought a door jammer and a panic button, which can I wear on my keychain. Right now at each night, I sleep with a lamp on in the hallway and the TV set to static for noise. The closet door stays closed, so no exceptions. Months later, I still wake in a cold sweat by imagining footsteps down the hall. I wonder if he still watches my house, waiting for me to let my guard down. And I know this, no matter what I do, nothing will erase the memory of him standing in my room, unmasked, looking at me like he knew exactly where I slept. Home isn't safe anymore, at least not for me, not anymore.
They always
returns. If you like our content, subscribe our channel and give it a thumbs up. And thanks for Scary Time.